everybody, and welcome to Crafternoon in Summerland. Summerland is the Ottawa Public Library's online summer camp, and today I'd like to share a really interesting art project with you. My name is Tara, and I'm going to show you how to create a really interesting drawing, close-up of an eye. Now this eye belongs to a mythical, magical, and mysterious creature. Do you know what creature that might be? Well, it's a creature that we encounter a lot in many, many popular stories, be they fairy tales or modern day novels. They're all over the place and they're very, very popular. Do you have any guesses? Today we're going to be drawing a close-up of an amazing dragon's eye. Are you ready? Let's get started. To complete this amazing dragon's eye project, you're going to need a sheet of white printer paper, a pencil, an eraser, a pencil sharpener, an assortment of colored markers, and if you don't happen to have any colored markers at home, that's okay. You can always use wax crayons or pencil crayons instead. I'd also like to mention that if you happen to like bright colors, you may also wish to use some highlighters to color in your dragon skin. For the finishing touches, you may also want to have a glue stick on hand and a sheet of colored construction paper. Are you ready? Let's get this dragon's eye started. We're going to begin with our pencil. In the bottom left corner of your page, we're going to begin by drawing the outline of the dragon's eye. The eye is going to finish up here towards the top right corner, but we're going to leave a little bit of space in each corner before we start drawing the corner of our dragon's eye. We'll start with the top. I'm going to come out a little bit. You're going to notice once I've drawn this eye that it sort of looks a little bit like a leaf. And I'm going to draw the bottom portion of the eye. So now we've got our dragon's eye outline, and you'll notice that it's pointy on either corner and rounded on either side, and it does kind of look like a leaf. So now we're going to draw the pupil of the dragon's eye, and we're going to draw the dragon's eye as a slit. So the pupil is what controls how much light is let into the eye, and it allows the dragon to be able to hunt well during the day and at night in the dark. So at this point, we're going to create another kind of leaf-shaped shape here in the center of the eye so that it looks like a bit of a slit. Perfect. So what I did is I drew a line starting at the very top, curving to the left and coming down to meet the bottom edge of the eye outline. And then I did another line curving to the right and meeting that line down at the bottom again. So a dragon's eye, and our eyes as well, reflect light because the surface is very smooth. So we're going to draw very lightly 2 little circles. Now these circles are going to be where the light is reflecting off of the eye of the dragon. And I've drawn it very lightly, so you might not be able to see it that clearly, but that's okay. And then you can draw a second one if you like. Normally the second one will be a little bit smaller. Okay, great. Now we're going to draw the iris of the eye. So that's the part of the eye that's going to be colored. Now, you may wish to color in your entire eye one color, but I'm going to create a rounded iris. So now, as you can see, I've created another curve from the bottom to the top outline of the eye. And And because I want it to look somewhat circular, my other line is going to go right about here. Okay, I'm liking how that's looking. Can you see how it's starting to take shape? It's really starting to look like an eye. Now what I'd like to do is to add the upper and lower eyelid. So I'm going to start a little bit above this corner of the eye, and I'm going to create an eyelid. So it's going to be probably almost the width of 2 fingers. So I'm going to leave that amount of space approximately between the top of the eye and the eyelid. And now I'm going to do a bottom eyelid as well. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can see how this is really starting to take shape. Now, a dragon's skin is kind of scaly, so we're going to be creating some scales, still using our pencil. And so let me show you how we can do this. There are many ways to do this. You can draw little rectangles to make the skin look dry and wrinkly, or you may want to draw scales that are a little bit more jagged. It's really up to you. So I'm going to do mine looking like little bumps like this. So I'm going to continue filling this in on the top and the bottom eyelid. And then after I've done that, I'm going to continue with this outer section of skin, and I'm going to change the way that I do the skin on this side. Okay, so these are the lids. I'm going to do those one way. And then the outer skin, I'm going to change the way I do it. So just watch carefully. Now that I've drawn the skin on the outer eyelids of the eye, I'm now going to draw the skin that would be part of the dragon's face. So I'm going to be changing the way that I draw the scales at this point, and I'm going to be switching to a type of rectangle. So I'm going to be creating little squares. They can be different shapes. They don't all have to be the same size. You can do little ones, big ones. They don't have to be perfect squares or perfect rectangles. As you can see, some of them are a little bit irregular, and that's just fine. So I'm going to continue these little rectangles, and you can watch, and I'll see you in just a moment for the next step. Now that we've completed the pencil lines of our dragon's eye, we're going to begin coloring it in. So I've got my markers out, but as I mentioned earlier, you're welcome to use wax crayons or pencil crayons. They will work fine as well. You're going to want to have a nice thick black marker on hand, or if you don't have a black one, something dark will work nicely. We're going to set that one aside, and we'll be using the dark colored marker a little bit later. We're going to start by using some of our lighter colors to color in the sections, and then we'll be using our black marker to trace along all of the pencil lines that we've created. So I think I'll begin with the iris of the dragon's eye. That's the colored part of the eye. And I think I'd like my dragon to have kind of a golden look. So you can make your iris whatever color you like, but I'm going to make mine kind of a golden orange color. So I think this color looks perfect for me. And then I think on the edges, I'll make it a little bit darker. So you can take your time to slowly color in your eye. I'm going to leave this center part white for now because eventually I'm going to color that in black, but I'm going to do it later. So for the exterior part of the colored part of the eye, or the iris, I'm going to darken the edges a little bit so that the eye looks like it's glowing a little bit around the pupil. So for this part, I think I'm going to choose, I think some red would look interesting. Oh, that one doesn't work very well. Maybe I'll try this one. That's much better. You'll notice that I'm curving the lines a little bit to make it look like the eye is really round. It gives it a little bit of a three-dimensional look if you do that. Okay, so I think I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm liking how that's looking. Now in the corner of the eye, I think I'm going to darken those up a little bit too, and I'm going to make them this nice deep red as well. Like that. And a little bit on the other corner here. Okay. So now I'm ready to start drawing or coloring in the dragon scales. And I think for this dragon scale area just around the eye, so the eyelids, I'm gonna choose two colors that I'm gonna alternate. So, what colors do I think would look interesting? Well, I've already got orange and a deep red. So maybe something a little different, like, how about a blue highlighter? Let's try that. So now I'm going to alternate all these sections around the eye. So you can watch me while I do that. And I'll be back in a few minutes to show you the next step. So now I've completed coloring the eyelids of the eye, and I'm going to move on to coloring the dragon skin around the eye. So for this section, I'm going to use the lighter blue. So I'm going to stick with my blue theme, and I'm going to use the lighter blue highlighter to fill in all of my little rectangles. Okay, so let's do that. And then we'll be moving on to our final step, which will be the black marker or any kind of dark colored marker to do all of the outlines. finished coloring in all of my squares and rectangles of the dragon skin. Now you can do your dragon skin any color you want to, but I do recommend using a lighter color because in between all of these rectangles and squares, we're going to be using our black marker. So I want everyone to take their black or a very dark marker, and we're going to begin by coloring in our pupil. And remember that at the beginning we drew those two little circles. That's where the light is reflecting off of the dragon's eye. So we're going to leave those two little circles white, but we're going to color in the remaining section of the pupil. So we're going to start with that, and afterwards we're going to trace over all of our other pencil lines, and we're going to fill in the areas between the dragon skin. Now you'll notice that my black marker isn't working too well, so it's a good idea to test it out before. And I happen to have another one on hand, so this one should work pretty well. There we go. So what I recommend doing is just drawing around those circles so that we remember that they're there, and we don't want to color those circles in. We want to leave them white. So I'm going to color in this slit of a pupil. Kind of looks like a cat's eye in a way. Cats have eyes like that too. Okay, that eye is really looking magnificent. So now I'm going to trace over all of my other pencil lines, and you're going to see how this eye is really going to start looking like an amazing dragon's eye. Okay everybody, we are almost done. Now, continuing on with our black marker, we are going to fill in all of these white areas between all of our squares and rectangles. So let's hop to it. You may want to outline them first because this sometimes makes it easier to color in the white section in between afterwards. Okay, I've colored in all of the spaces in between my rectangles with black, and the dragon skin is looking cracked and thick-skinned and dry. And I'm just going to do one more thing before we give our artwork a nice framing job. I'm going to thicken up these lines around the contour of the eye, and I think that's going to make our eye even more visible. It's going to make it really pop. So just go over those lines, thicken it up a little bit. And as I mentioned before, you can do your eye and your dragon skin any color you like. Well, I've colored in my entire dragon's eye and I think it looks pretty amazing. Now, there's nothing saying that you can't color in this white section. You can always choose a color and color it in. I suggest a lighter color just so that you have lots of contrast between the eye and the dragon skin. Now, if you like your artwork just like this, you can leave it. However, it's sometimes nice to frame your artwork if you've put such a great amount of time into it. So at this point, if you're interested, you can take your glue stick and a sheet of colored construction paper, and we're going to glue our artwork onto our sheet of construction paper to give it a nice frame. And I think this yellow really makes it stand out nicely. So what you would do is you would flip over your artwork, add some glue to the back. Make sure you put lots so that it sticks really well. I like to go around the entire edge of the paper and do a nice X in between. And then another kind of a cross. And I think that should be just about good enough. Now take your time to center it nicely. Press it down. And there you go, your dragon's eye is finished. Good job, everybody. I know that was a lot of work, but I think people are going to be pretty impressed when they see what you've made. Well, I really want to thank you for joining me for another Crafternoon in Summerland today. It's already time to say goodbye, but I hope you had fun creating your dragon's eye and that you're pleased with the results. I'll be back again next week for another artistic adventure, but in the meantime, I invite you to visit the Ottawa Public Library's website at biblioottawalibrary.ca. On the website, you'll find a link to Summerland. Summerland is our online virtual summer camp, where there are a whole bunch of amazing activities and presenters planned all summer long. If you liked this video, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, where we'll be uploading new content every week. Now, I'll see you next week. Bye! I hope you had fun at Crafternoon.